there in Grip World. This is Napalm Jedd Johnson from DieselCrew.com, and this is episode 73 of This Week in Grip. Is that right, Alan? 73?
That is correct, yes.
73, and I am joined, as always, by the esteemed Alan Heineck, Esquire. Alan, how's it going?
Well, things are going pretty good. How you doing, Jedd?
Fantastic. I've also got Luke Raymond sitting right here beside me. We just did about a 3-hour workout and had to shut the water off in the gym because the weights that we are using in King Kong Prep are so darn heavy that we broke a water pipe downstairs. So it's been an exciting day. Luke, how you been, buddy?
Good, can't complain.
And also, this show is a prediction show for King Kong of Grip 2018. And about 2 weeks ago, I put a post up on Facebook asking if you'd be interested in hearing a prediction show, and you did, and overwhelmingly the opinion was to have Mr. Eric Roussin back on the show again. He's been on here before when we talked about nationals this year, so he is with us as well. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, brother. Just in case people haven't heard about you, Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get a little bit more familiar so we know who we're talking to?
So I'm an active group sport athlete. I've been active since, I think, 2011. Really started the sport going up here in Canada. I'm in Ottawa. And so I host probably 3 or 4 contests a year. I also travel all over the world for some of these contests. And 6 years ago, Andrew Pankey and I, we got the idea to start this King Kong contest, which was a multi-venue around the world type contest, similar to the ones that were done in the early 2010s. I guess it was the World's Strongest Hands contest. So that was our, initial inspiration. But we also wanted to include a variety of different events. So this is the 6th edition this year, and it gets bigger and better every year, and we're excited.
Absolutely. Everybody's excited about it. I think we're going to have more competitors this year than ever before. How many venues do we have signed up currently, Eric?
I think it's 19 if you include Bader out in United Arab Emirates. That one's up in the air. We're hopeful. He only decided 2 weeks ago that he wanted to run a contest, and he didn't have all the equipment. So all the equipment is on its way to him. But we're crossing our fingers that venue is going to happen. So, but if his does run, there will be 19 venues in 11 countries, 4 continents.
That's really cool. That's worth a like right now. I want to remind everybody that we always shoot for at least 10% likes versus the number of views. So when you have time, you scoot down there, hit that big thumbs up, and give it a like. And then we also want to know what your predictions are going to be for King Kong. So leave a comment as well. And don't be afraid to share this show on your favorite social network or email it to your friends or whatever it is that you like to do. Put it up on that Reddit page for grip training as well. I hear that there's lots of people up there that are interested in grip, and there's lots of discussion. So I personally have never been on Reddit. So if we could get somebody to put that up on the subreddit for grip training, that would be awesome. So we got a decent amount of stuff to cover today, guys. We're going to talk about maybe some personal goals that we each have for the contest, and we're going to look at predictions for who's going to win the overall in the final standings, who's going to come out on top for the different classes, and who's going to come out on top for the individual events. So, Eric, why don't you tell us what the actual events are this year in case people are not familiar with all of them yet?
Sure. There's 4 events. They're all one-handed events. Competitors can switch hands as they want. The first event is the one-hand flask deadlift. That's a pinch event. The second event is the 2.5 crusher deadlift. It's a thick bar, a rolling handle event. Third event, I believe, is I think it's the jug. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody's remembering the order. I think it's the jug. followed by the moon top. I may have switched those two. Really, I should know that. But anyway, a vertical lift and a hub type lift.
Right. So many facets of grip are going to be contested here. And while technique is always important in any lift, I think most people would agree that with these events, technique is not going to hold people back as much as, say, something like grippers would. So I think that's another reason why King Kong is such a cool concept, because you can have people show up for the first time, and if they're strong, they might be able to figure out how to maximize stuff pretty quickly just with a few workouts, and then or even at the contest itself. So that's what I always tell people about King Kong. Where do we want to start, Alan? What do we want to look into first on this, brother?
Well, I think we should end with who we think is going to take the overall. So, do we want to start with individual events or classes?
I say classes.
Well, how many classes are we running this year, Eric? How many classes will be given awards and such?
11.
Holy cow!
11. If we just keep our predictions to the sort of the who we think might win, or finish top 2 or 3, I don't think it'll be too long.
Yeah, that sounds good. So why don't we just jump right in on the Flask? What are we expecting to happen, and who are the top contenders for the Flask? Maybe Eric, why don't you go first with your thoughts? I know that Eric, you put up a good post 2 or 3 weeks ago. I know it was on Facebook. I don't remember whether it was in the grip training group or what, but or grip strength, I think it's called. And then you listed some numbers for what it would take to win each of the lifts. So I
remember that.
You don't remember that,
right,
Alan?
No, I do. I do remember that. Yeah, that was a good post. Yep.
Yeah, I agree, and that was actually very motivating for me to see those numbers come out. So, what did you say along those lines, Eric? Flask was what you had said at the time, maybe one.
I think I wrote 123 or 125, somewhere in the mid 120s is what I sort of expect the top lift to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think about that.
I mean, that's a big lift. What's the current record?
That's a big lift.
I don't know I don't have the current records.
Didn't you break that record last year, Jedd?
Yeah, I said it, but I don't know if anybody's broken it since. I haven't paid a lot of attention to it. I'm not sure how much the one-hand lift has been contested with the Flask. It seems like in the last year, it's been for one-hand pinching. It's mostly been Ironmind pinch block. So I wasn't sure if maybe anybody swooped in there and dropped a couple ounces on.
In the Grip Sport database, I believe you're still number 1.
Okay, excellent. That's what I like to hear, brother. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it hasn't been updated on barrel strength yet. It still has Harry at the top at 117.
Okay, well, you edged him out.
I'm expecting someone to get in the 120s, possibly more than one person.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Do you have? So I don't know how much detail you want to go into, Eric, but have you been scouting this out? Have you been looking around and seeing some interesting numbers coming from people on the Flask?
So my pick for the overall Flask, I think Cody has a good shot. He posted, I think, a recent video of, I think, a lift of 110, and he said that's where he plans on starting. So if he's in that type of shape and his opening is going to be 110, I think he's going to do very well.
Yes, I saw that video as well, and definitely if anybody starting out at 110's got a chance to win that event. I think there's several people around the world that can be there. Obviously, since Harry Talonen got 117 in the past, I'm sure his name's got to be right there at the top. Who else? Anybody else that's kind of like a dark horse with the Flask that hasn't put up many videos lately might be up there?
Well, Alexei pulled 50 kilos, so he pulled over 110 last year. on the blast, so he's always a possibility.
That's Alexei Tukulov, who won the overall last year. What did he get, Luke?
50.41, so actually like 111 pounds.
112 pounds. Yeah, that's huge.
Uni Mahonen, again, another one that's going to be in that 110 range.
You think you'll be up there, Luke?
He's pulled 109 pounds.
No, I mean you. You were nipping right on his heels with your lift.
I mean, that would be definitely a goal. I mean, it would be a few pound PR from last year's pull. I think it's definitely doable if I can keep my skin intact here.
Yeah, this guy went into a rough patch, if you will, a rough patch recently with skin tears on the flask.
That's going around.
Mine's not even a tear. It's just a separation, so it's weird because my skin just split. So I'm thinking it was just more of a dryness issue versus a true rolling of skin.
Mm.
And Jedd, I'm assuming is your pinch coming along? I mean, you're the other guy who's one of the clear favorites to win that event as well.
Well, let's just say I haven't had any tears recently, so my hands are healthy. But I've been taking care of them extra hard. And for Luke, I mean, he's getting tears that's nowhere near his contact point on his thumb. So he's been doing a lot of hunting lately. He's always out in his shop working on his arm assassin strength shop business. So he's got a lot more wear and tear going on with his thumbs. But the one thing that I've been doing recently is I've really been changing up my implements, so I'm not just doing the flask. So that way I'm not overdoing it with one implement, because that's been my tendency the last few years. So it was feeling pretty strong today. I don't know about that 123 to 125 range. That would definitely be sweet to hit that though.
We'll see.
Well, I think you got it in you. Yeah, I think you got it in you. You've been holding out on us a little bit there. You've shown us some plate pinch teasers, but that's about it. We haven't seen a whole lot other pinching lately. Just some inch feet.
Well, I tried the double 225s today, and it did not even come off the ground. So that wasn't in the cards today.
Yeah, I had a day like that myself, actually. Not with 225s, though.
Yeah, Luke smoked me on the blockbuster by like 5 pounds. So.
Oh, nice.
Eric, what are you doing? You up over 105?
My aim is to get over 100 on this one.
Yeah. What do you think is a must? What would you guys say is a must if you're looking for top 10 in the flask this year?
Top 10 in the flask?
Yeah, just top 10. Just shooting for top 10.
I think it's going to be close to 110. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's going that way. I definitely think it's going that way. Another guy we haven't mentioned yet is Jesse Pignonen. Where's he been before? He's up here. We totally skipped.
Did he compete yet?
Go ahead, Luke.
So probably one of the best pound-for-pound pinchers in the world, other than Cody, your fellow Canadian, Mr. Fleming.
Right.
Him and his chances of being in that 110 range is definitely totally feasible.
I agree.
And Arto, which everybody obviously, Arto is another one that can pull in that. There's a lot of people that are going to be close in that 105 to 110.
You want to move on to Crusher?
Yeah, and then if anybody else pops in there, I mean, you never know. Like another dude, you got Dave Thornton, you got John McCarter. I mean, these are some names that I think Thornton only competes in King Kong now. So, he could have been specializing for a while. And McCarter, you just never know. He's put up impressive numbers on the Iron Mine pinch block. So,
have we heard? Is he competing?
I'm sorry?
Have we heard if he's competing or not?
You never know. I don't know about either one of those guys competing, but
Another one that could change things up in the 83K class too would be if Phil Kashaba showed up. I didn't see his name on last year, but he's got a monstrous grip on him. We've seen some pretty substantial things out of him. I could easily see him being way upwards of 100 if he showed up.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have not heard much from Phil Kashaba in several months, so
no, he's dropped right off.
So he can surprise people.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how he came on the scene.
There you go. Yeah, true. Inch dumbbell lifter. He's got some impressive strength. Yeah, let's go on to the 2.5 inch crusher, because I think that has the potential to be an event that really makes a huge difference this year. And it could be something where if someone does not have a real good pinch, they could make some of that ground back by beefing up their crusher. So, Eric, why don't you start us off? What are some of your predictions on the crusher for this year?
I think there's a lot of strong guys in this event, and they will all be close to each other. Alexei Tukalov, Igor Krupinski, Tanner Merkel, Karl Myerscough. I don't know if you guys have met him, but he's the big guy from California, 6'10", north of 350 pounds.
He's a shot putter or something, isn't he?
Well, yeah, Olympic shot putter. And Ode Haugen. All those guys have very, very, very good thick bar strength. So I think it's going to be one of those guys who's going to get the top lift.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool dynamics about King Kong, that you can go in there and really mess stuff up for everybody else. If you've got a big, huge crusher lift, I mean, you can really upset the scoring layout by coming out on top with that one. And you bring up a good name there with Karl Myerscough. That dude's got some serious potential. There's another guy that Luke just pointed out that we haven't mentioned that really did well at Nationals this year from Canada. Go ahead, Luke.
I said it in the pinch, Justin Major. I mean, his potential is
Justin
ridiculously high.
He will do well in both those events, but I don't think he's a favorite to win first overall.
No, I was just saying, I think pinching-wise, I think he could be in that 110-pound range for sure. Obviously, crusher, he's not going to be top 5 or top 3, but he's going to put up good numbers.
Definitely. Another name, I don't know if he's competing, but he did reach out to me several months ago with some questions, is Lane Snook.
Right.
If he competes, he will also put up a good number in that one, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. He'll be up near the top. I was going to be talking about him a little bit later on in this discussion. I'm not sure if he's competing or not, but he could be a real big X factor in the whole entire thing. I don't know about his flask potential, but obviously with crusher, I mean, that dude is enormous. He's like a Karl Myerscough type dude. So I think he'd be able to produce some impressive numbers across the board on all 4 events, not just the thick bar implement. So it's hard to tell what to expect from some of these guys because you don't know how much time they're getting on the actual implement. You know?
Right. I do think that the best lift will be north of 235.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. Who you
that is huge
on that one?
It's one of those first 5 guys I mentioned. Like a few of them got around 230 last year. And I'm not going to be surprised if one of them gets 235.
Right.
Like you said, with Lane added to that. So Lane, Alexei, Igor, Tanner. To me, it'd be those 4 that are going to stand ahead of everybody by at least 10 pounds.
It really makes the crusher an event that you could either lose some serious spots in or regain some spots. It's really pivotal.
Well, being the reverse strongman scoring, it changes completely versus being a percentage based. Because you might fall 20 pounds behind, but you're only 8 spots behind. That's not that big of a difference. Whereas percentage wise, that could be a lot more in a factor.
Is that why? Is that the reason that you guys stick with the reverse scoring, Eric, or is it more just
easier
to lay everything out once the dust is settled?
I don't know if it's much easier, but it's I don't know. So far, it's good. I think it keeps an element of a bit more of an element of surprise to it as well. So I don't know. So far, I feel it works out that the top guys are at the top, and I don't think it would be much. It would be slightly different if it was percentage based, but yeah, it's easy to explain to people. It is just easier.
Do you think that with percentage based versus the reverse strongman scoring, that you would have made potentially less situations where in the overall someone could finish ahead of them, and then in the weight class those positions could switch completely? Or do you think that would probably be the same? I just thought of that right now, and I'm not really sure.
I think it could. I think it'd be the same situation. I think when you're only comparing with a different set of people, subset of people, that can happen regardless of the system used. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know that happened between Big Joe Sullivan and Mike Rinderly last year, where they finished. One finished ahead in the overall, and the other one finished ahead in the weight class.
Right. Well, a few years ago, a big example is when Gil Goodwin, I think he finished first overall, but Cody won the 93 class. So
that's true.
These things can happen. But I don't know. I think it keeps things interesting.
Absolutely. I absolutely love the fact that it's going on in multiple locations and you don't know what is happening. I think that was really exciting, especially the first year with World's Strongest Hands. I remember that. And with King Kong, what was the first year? 2013, correct, Eric? For King Kong?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I know that I was not planning to compete that year until Luke came down and said, man, when's the next competition? And then we ended up going to Chez's location. So, but to not know what the heck is going on, it really changes things up. It's really cool.
Yeah.
What else about the Crusher, guys? Anything else any other dark horses or anything else to mention on that?
Well, if Duvauren Harris was competing, we haven't heard from him in a while either, but he's a guy that could easily finish way up there if he were to show up. He was the guy that showed up at SJ4. Yeah, ripped some serious weight off the ground.
Yeah, what did he get at SJ4? Do you remember, Alan?
Not exactly, but he came within just a couple of pounds of the world record at the time, and I don't think he'd ever put his hands on a crusher before. He was just a rolling thunder axle kind of guy, I think.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it was close to 218 or around there.
Yeah,
it was a huge number at the time. Yep. He started.
He listed 211.5.
Okay. I remember his opener was like 20 pounds over what like everybody else did. He waited until last to take his attempts. Yeah.
Will we see any broken crushers this year? Going back to last year, Tanner on his last attempt ended up breaking the unit at the venue that Brian Hunsacker ran, which is another guy we can't forget about. I know Brian's had a run of injuries lately. He's got a very nagging wrist problem that's been giving him issues. But if he steps up on the platform, I'm sure he's good for well over 200 pounds on the crusher.
He was near that last year, wasn't he? He was over that, I thought.
Yeah.
At the very least, close to it. I'm scrolling through it right now here. He was way up there. Well, I wanted to say it was like 91, 90, 93 kilograms, something like that. Having a hard time finding it here. Way up there, though.
Yeah.
Almost 94 kilos. 93.
Yeah, it's a beast. Yep.
Luke's cycling through the results as we speak, so he's able to pull some of this data up.
I'm trying to do that myself. It's just my phone sleeps and then I get screwed. So it's hard to stay on top of it here.
Yeah, Luke's a multi-crafter. He's taking care of business here. Right now he's on eBay looking up a couple tools that he might be purchasing. He's thinking about grabbing an anvil from Binghamton area, New York. He's getting it all done, man. So if there's anything you want to know about stats, he can rifle through and find it for you.
Sure. Is he monitoring any trail cam footage right now too?
Don't get me started on the deer hunting. I was supposed to hunt last night in a specific stand because there was a deer that had been going consistently. Well, I had to go to dinner, so my friend that owns land decided to sit there, and sure as can be, that freaking deer walked right by that stand.
Oh, did you get it?
He did, yeah, I didn't. But so he's like, I want you to can't hunt.
He had to do the husband thing last night and go to a dinner with his wife, so he got buck blocked.
I love that.
I'm trying to think if there's any other sleepers out there, man.
I can't think of any other for the crusher.
For the crusher. Yeah, I don't want to miss anybody. Again, I mean, Jesse Pignonen, that's all I hear about is this guy's potential. So if he can, if maybe he's been doing some extra speed eating contests and stuff, pecking on the calories for King Kong, it's going to be interesting to see. I know that he listens to the show and posts a lot, so can't wait to see what he brings to the table.
I think there's a
How
lot
about you, Eric?
Get to the, once I'm aiming for over 200. I'm not feeling this is going to be my my best performance in King Kong, but I'm still confident to get over 200. I think we're going to get into some more of these names once we get to sort of who might finish near the top of the individual class, because some of these guys are very good generalists. They're not the best in any one of the four, but they don't have any bad lifts. So that's where some of these other names will come up, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt. That's huge in any grip contest. You don't necessarily have to be the best at anything, but you want to be sure that you're decent across the board, because that's when you get your composite score added together, it can end up working in your favor. So that's a great point, Eric. What's going on with you, man? You've been nursing some injuries lately. Is that why you're not expecting as good of a performance, or have you been doing a lot of arm wrestling lately?
No, I mean I think I'll do well in I'll hit decent numbers in the flask and crusher. Jug, I'll do okay, but there's a lot of people who can lift a lot more, and Moontop is really the one that's going to sink me. I'm just not that device has not come along very well for me, so that's why I'm not super confident. I'm still hopeful that maybe I'll be able to squeak out a top 3, but it'll be tough in my class.
Understood.
So no real injuries, just not my best devices.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I hear you. Our class is pretty well. Every class of this contest is pretty ridiculous, but I'm kind of biased towards that 93K being pretty stout.
Yeah. Did you want to just quickly talk about who might be the top Moontop? Moontop lift, I think the best. I think I predicted it was upper 50s, so like around 58. I've been seeing a lot of the.
Interesting.
The Europeans put on some really big numbers, but I don't know. I'd be surprised if somebody gets more than 60 on this Moontop.
Yeah, man. So there's a lot riding on that Moontop, especially if it's the last event. I don't remember the order myself, but
I think it's a third. I
thought it was a third. The vertical lift was typically the last event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Moontop is definitely a precarious lift. Those darn welds just seem to get in the way no matter what you end up doing. We've been really scrambling trying to figure out our optimal technique on that device as well, and we haven't really come up with too many breakthroughs. So I don't really have a really bright outlook on the Moontop myself. So I'm not really sure for my lifting, but if people are getting 58 pounds, they're definitely going to have a shot at winning that event. That seems like a really huge lift to me. That's like an equivalent of to me like a 120 plus on the flask and a 225 plus on the crusher. That's a huge lift. But like you said, Eric, some of those Europeans have really figured something out with that, because I've seen some numbers being thrown out there that look pretty darn easy, and they're well over what I'm picking up.
I think we might even see it over here, though. I really had the 60-pound number in my mind for some people for the top end. But I think, Gil Goodman has got that hand positioning down really good for that type of device. I think he could be way upwards. I think he could get near 60, depending on what the other events have done to him. But he's the only guy we've seen do like what Brian Shaw did on that 45-pound plate. He used a similar technique. He did something like that with the bull ring, pulled 60 on it. So I think he's got it in him if he can get that hand positioning down like we see him do on those other ones.
Good point.
Do you think the style is going to make a difference being a little bit shallower and not versus the old style that the record is actually on? And also the welds being potentially in the way for people. I think the biggest thing with this contest, especially if you have a lot of people, is trying to get the texture consistent, on any implement, that versus your training texture, where you can find optimal texture because it's just one or two people. But in a contest, you have 10, 15 plus people grabbing a hold of it, changing the oil in their skin and everything else, and that could potentially make a huge difference on someone's moon top lift being such a small friction lift that if you get a bad chalking or someone peels a bunch of chalk off and you can't get that texture back, that can change things a lot for somebody.
Right.
Big time on this.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think we'll see something. I think we see something way up there.
Yeah, definitely mid to high 50s at the lightest.
I didn't have any specific names, just Finns. The Finnish guys are.
They monopolized mine too, actually. But I was going to throw Gil out there because I think he's got the gear for it. I think he can. I think he'll rate right up there with everybody else.
I think Tanner, Gil, and Cody have all pulled 50 plus. So, but whether they're going to get 55 plus, that's a different story. I mean, I think anything 50 and above is going to be a good number to keep you in the top 10. But
Cody put up a video where he held 50 for several seconds. And in most grip events, when you can hold something that long, that means you're good for, a decent percentage above that for a max lift. But in my training, I can take my max and I can hold that for a decent amount of time, and then I try to throw 1.25 pounds on there, and I can't even break it off the ground. So
the moon top defies conventional wisdom on that. Yep, I agree completely.
If anybody's listening to this and they're promoting, I'm going to strongly suggest that they go out and get some kind of micro plates, because if all they've got is 2.5, you're going to have a ton of ties with a lot of people at the event. And one thing that I found several years ago at an auto parts store was something called a grade 8 washer with a 2-inch hole in the center, and they work out really nice. They're about 0.5 pound a piece. So I bought 4 of them, and I've got them all scaled, so I know exactly what they weigh, and that's what I use for micro loading. So it might be a good option for promoters who don't have the money laying around to buy fractional plates.
Yeah, those work really good, and they can be found pretty cheap too, actually. If you got places like Fastenal out there, you can get a screaming deal on a lot of those.
Yeah, I think you can get between $3 and $4 each, but like I said, to get potentially 0.5 pound or 1 pound more, that can mean the difference between a few spots, which could make the difference to an overall win or not.
Absolutely. That's where the you got to take advantage of the scoring method. You can get a full point, 2 points, 3 points ahead of somebody just by having a few more ounces on the unit.
But it's very hard to do when you have no idea what's happening in 18 other locations.
Exactly. Hey, that's like what negates it. But when you're looking at fractions of a kilo in the standings, you can be damn glad that when you pulled that last lift to a legal height in any of these in any of these events. What do you think, real quick on this one, Eric? This year we're doing the multiple attempts in 60 seconds, which is different from past years. In past years, it's always been one attempt, one try per attempt, and if you missed, you were done with that attempt. So that could present another interesting dynamic as well.
Yeah, it's a little less stressful. To me, some guys like Joe Sullivan, we know, he's able to recover. Me, generally, if I don't get it the first time, I don't typically get it on subsequent. But it's just to make it a little easier, especially for the newer people who have never touched these implements. I think it's a lot more appealing to the casual competitor.
That's a good point, for sure. Now, Eric, one thing that we were talking about today during our workout, let's say on the second attempt, someone takes all 60 seconds and doesn't get a lift. Are they then done for that event, or do they get to come back and take 2 more attempts if they want?
Everyone is guaranteed 4 trips. Even if you fail, you can come back. As long as you just can't drop the weight. But if you fail during those 60 seconds, you can come back for your 3rd and 4th. That's fine.
Right. We're still maintaining the rising bar rules. You can't miss and then say, okay, well, I'll drop it 2.5 pounds next time. That's good. We just wanted to clarify that because it's been a while since I looked at the rules document. So thanks for clarifying that for us.
Yeah, everyone has 4 trips. They just can't drop the weight. That's it. You guys want to move on to the jug?
Sure. Let's go to the jug.
So I think I had written that I thought 285 would be a topless, and I think Luke and a few others thought it would be even more. So who knows? Will somebody break 300 on this? I don't know.
There's going to be people lifting 300, and I've said that from the beginning because I know what Lane is capable of. He's my guy. He's my pick to pull 300 pounds. So if he shows up, there's going to be a 300-pound lift, provided that he's healthy and the implement isn't like greased with goose snot. So I definitely think 300 pounds is gonna get lifted. Whether or not it's going to be taking place, over and over and over, I'm not sure about that. But any of these stick bar guys are going to have potential for that. So Alexi, Jesse, Thomas Larson is the name that we haven't mentioned yet on any of these events. All these guys are really strong at the 2-inch vertical bar, which we're looking at the rankings right now. All-time 2-inch vertical bar, it goes Igor Kopinski, Jesse Pignonin, Thomas Larson, Alexei Tukalov, Jake Solaney, Cody Burns, Gilbert Goodman, John Stepien, Tanner Merkel, and then Phil Horwood for the top 10. So if any of those guys show up, I'm sure they've got potential to do really well on the implement. I think the biggest factor personally on the jug is has the person been working out on a jug handle, or were they working on like vertical bar, or were they working on some kind of a replica device, maybe the Silarukov style implements or an Excalibur. I think working with the specific implement is going to be a big difference maker in this competition.
I do think it's considerably harder, though. A 2.5-inch jug, I think, is considerably more difficult than a 2-inch V-bar lift to 2 inches. I do think it's quite different. So
fully agree. Totally agree. We're just looking at these standings here, using that as some fodder for information.
I'm still going to predict that I personally don't think anyone will get over 300. So that'll be my my prediction, and we'll see where everything nets out.
Interesting.
My guess is 4.25. There you go. How's that for specific?
I think Alan's holding out on us, man. He's been doing jug training for months and months. I think he's going to surprise us with a number. I think he's going to be up there. he's been talking about this surgery that he had and hasn't put out any videos, and all of a sudden he's knocking out 110 hexes. I'm really beginning to wonder if this shoulder surgery that he had was all a ruse.
No, I will not be pulling anything respectable on the jug. That's for sure. I haven't even been training with it. It feels so weird when I go to pull on it in my biceps. It is just, I don't know. I just can't get a handle on it for whatever reason. It's just not for me. The regular V-bar, the 2-inch V-bar, that I don't feel the same thing. But there's something about the jug. It just doesn't feel right when I go to pull on it. So I'm going to take some token lift on that one. I don't know what it is. It doesn't work for me though.
We also got to think about those California boys out there, Clay Edgin, Ricardo Magni. We don't know what they've been doing. Have they been specializing more on the California event that is taking place at Ode Haugen's location? That's going to be, paired up with a different meet on the next day. So, have they been putting more emphasis on the King Kong lifts, or have they been trying to spread themselves a little too thin, basically competing in 2 competitions 2 days in a row? It's going to be very interesting to see what they're capable of as well. I mean, Clay Edgin is just an absolute animal and has really no weaknesses in grip. So it's going to be interesting to see that as well. I don't know if he's going to be up around 230 on the crusher or 120 on the flask, but he's going to be there in the top 10, I think, top 15 at least.
I don't know if Clay will be competing because he's recently moved to Texas. He had contacted me about possibly hosting a venue in Texas, but that's not going to happen. So I don't know. I sort of doubt that Clay will actually be competing.
That's a good call. I forgot all about that completely. But, he's not one to shy away from traveling either. So maybe he'll hop aboard a plane and end up out there.
I definitely think he'd have potential to do well, though, if he did compete.
What about John Matchnick? He just picked up a new dumbbell from me here recently, and this is a serious guy here. I know he's done several training sessions with Ricardo. What do you guys think about his potential in some of these lifts?
He's definitely a good gripster. I don't know exactly how he'd do in this event, but I've got to believe he'd do well.
I don't know if we talked about Cody Burns on the jug, but Cody is one of these guys that it's almost like his wrist has some extra mobility to it, and I'm wondering if maybe he can utilize that to his advantage on the jug and really pull a big number on game day.
I had him. He's my top pick on the jug, as a matter of fact.
I think I saw a video of him doing, was it 275?
I saw one like 250 for reps. But he was repping it out pretty good. Maybe it was more than that.
Okay.
But he pulls monster numbers on the anvil. We've seen him pull big numbers on the V-bar. He's got it in him. So no reason he couldn't finish right up there.
I remember the videos were posted on Facebook, and the number that I recall is I thought he went off like 10 reps on 230 pounds. So here it is. Luke just rifled through Facebook and found it. It's 230 pounds that he was doing. And he's doing rep after rep, alternating hands, and gets about 10 repetitions total, if I remember correctly. So, but I don't recall a heavier lift than that, personally. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just don't recall it.
But I think it makes sense with his recent Saxon bar lift. I think it was 75 living legend Saxon bar. That's what I'm mixing up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Very possible. We're looking at his flask video of 110.
Do you guys want to quickly rifle through who we think might win each of the weight classes?
Yeah, let's do that. I'll tell you what, I'm pulling for my boy Nigel Blackburn to do well in the 66. I just want to throw that out there. He's really put up some great numbers recently. He's been doing a good job.
I agree completely.
Before we get to the 66, if we start with the 59, I think Raymond Millinen from Finland. He won it last year. He won every single event of the 4 events. So there's not many guys who typically compete at that weight, but I think he's the favorite in that class. In the 66, Nigel was one of my names. I think he's a good challenge. He's going to challenge Andre Terentiev. Andre has won it, I think, the last 2 years in a row. Once again, last year, I think he won every single event. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Andre. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Andre. Sorry?
What weight is Fitz? Debova or whatever his name is.
He would be in the 59. Now, I reached out to him to find out if he was competing this year. He didn't compete last year. He hasn't responded. So he's the guy who could challenge Raymond. I agree. If he competes.
He was the one in my head at that lightweight.
Okay.
So does he compete at the okay. So he's at the Commando Temple. Eric, that was another question really quick. Is there only one venue in the UK, and is it at the Commando Temple?
Yes to both, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you guys familiar with Andre Terentiev? Because he's put up some massive numbers on some of these lifts for his weight. So
yeah,
I think he's going to be tough.
Everything he puts up is in Russian or whatever, so I know who he is, but I can't say I've seen a lot of his lifts. I know he has a good V-bar type lifting ability. I don't know about anything else.
He's doing well at the moon top. He's for his weight, he's definitely to me, I think he's the guy to beat. But I'm very curious to see what Nigel can do. I'm not familiar with. I don't know too much about Nigel's strengths in these 4 events. So.
Well, the thing about Nigel is that dude never misses a damn workout. Been working with him for over a year now, and he really loves grip training. Like, it is not work for him. He gets in there and gets it done and really enjoys each session. And he's not afraid to play around with stuff as well. So I know that he's figured out a couple things on some of the lifts recently that's given him a couple PRs. So I mean, I'm partial to Nigel just because I've been working with him so long, but I think he's got a lot of potential to do very well in this competition across the board.
He's who I've seen the most of. I don't see, we don't see a lot from the real lighter classes. At least I haven't anyway. Nigel is the most visible of all those guys anyway, but he's got some really strong lifts. The Flask, Crusher, he pulls real respectable numbers.
The 74 kg has typically more competitors, but I don't see a clear favorite in this class. Tuomo Karkkainen from Finland won last year, and I expect he'll do very well this year. But I don't. To me, there's no clear favorite in this weight class, which makes it interesting.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. It's tough to tell in those lighter weight classes. And I'm not super familiar with people in those classes myself.
Darren Shulman, is he competing? Is Darren Shulman competing? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Bob?
I don't know.
I don't know. Bob would be 83.
Yeah, the 83 class, now that has a clear favorite.
Yes,
Merkel,
it does.
If he does not win that class, he's going to bomb an event or something because I think he could afford to bomb an event and still finish top 5 in his weight class. He's just that far ahead of the class in most of those events.
Someone that has a really the Koenig brothers, Josh, fairly tall, has a really big hand, but is also very light. I don't know if he's even competing or has been training or anything like that, but he's a name that could potentially be in something because of how big his hand is as far as for that weight class.
Okay.
Actually, I see Darren Shulman was 83K last year, wasn't he?
I don't know. I think you're right, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what weight we're they're at, whether they want to cut, all those things.
It changes. Yeah. Tanner's really consistent in the 83K. So is Dan Fleming, but I got Tanner as number one in that, no doubt.
Yeah. Dan I think has a good shot at top three, and a couple of Finns, Nico Junilainen and Mika Lappalainen, those guys do well. The 93, though, I agree, Lou. This is the most stacked class, maybe with the exception of the super heavyweights. But the 93 kg with Luke, with me, Gil Goodman, Uni Mahonen, Cody Burns, and Steve Millard is another guy from out west who he's coming on, and I don't know if he'll get top three, but he's strong. But I do think the favorite is Cody.
Who is that, Eric? Who is that guy you just said?
Steve Millard.
Who's Steve Millard? Yeah.
Steve Millard, he's a master. He's actually in his 50s. I think he's in Colorado. But last year's King Kong, he lifted, I think, more than 200 on the crusher. He's a strong dude. He's fairly new to grip, so he's a guy who's coming on. So I don't know that he'll get top three, but he's on my radar.
So he'll be at the location that Mark Brotherson runs?
There or Brian Hunsaker's, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm taking a look at that right now because we had asked for predictions on the grip board, and his name came up, and I think he chimed in. I wasn't sure if he was actually competing or not. I'm trying to verify that right now.
But I do think, would you agree, Luke?
Processed the information and that Steve Millard got 191 pounds on the crusher last year. I don't recall that name at all for some reason.
But after the contest, unofficially, I think he got 205, or he got north of 200 unofficially.
Interesting. Wow.
But Luke, would you agree that Cody is the favorite in that class?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, his pinching ability, he has the potential to win the overall pinching. He's another one that has zero weaknesses. Like, he's good at grippers, he's good at thick bar, possibly the best pincher in the world. Great at vertical bar, and really has nothing that is really even holding him back at all. I know he's going to probably pull in the 190-ish. On the crusher, probably potentially 300 plus on the jug, Moontop 50 plus. Yeah, I think he has potential to win our class, but potentially overall too.
Mhm.
Sorry, I don't mean to speed or things around. I just have another maybe 20 minutes or so. But if we go to the 105, my pick is Harry Talonen if he's in that class.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's definitely going to be right there. He's so good across the board for sure, and that's another guy that just attacks these events. I mean, with intensity every single time, and he finishes well in every single contest he does. Huge potential.
Yeah. The other guys I see Thomas Larson doing well in that class. I see Ivan Popchenko doing well, and someone I don't know how well he'll do, but I saw that Juji Mufu was talking about going to Nashville for it. So if he does compete, I'm curious to see how he does.
I think he could surprise some people, man. He just lifted an iron grip monster, which is a half 125 iron grip block weight. That is not, I mean, that's something I still can't do on a regular basis. And just lifted the inch dumbbell a couple weeks ago. We showed him some stuff for the Rolling Thunder that he can put over onto the crusher. I mean, he could really surprise people.
Yeah, that would be exciting to see what he did. If he'd show up, that'd be great.
A name that hasn't really been training but is potentially coming to our contest, Storm.
Oh, okay.
93 or 105. Not sure. He's probably a 50-50 right now.
Okay. I don't think he'd cut weight, so I would expect him to be in the 105.
Yeah.
In the 120, I picked Jedd Johnson to take that class.
That's where I'm at too.
Who is that? I don't know this guy.
Is that the weight you'd be in, Jedd?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely 120. I'm nowhere near 120 plus right now, so I've been as low as 244 here recently, first thing in the morning. So I'm well within that class. That's what I'll be in.
Other guys I think will do well. Alexander Azanovsky from Russia, he does well. Dave Thornton and Sirko. This is Sirko Peterman's first time in King Kong, I believe, and he's putting up some good numbers on some of these lifts. So I think he'll do well as well.
He's a strong dude. He doesn't seem to have any weaknesses. I'm not sure about his max grippers, but we don't have to worry about that at King Kong. So that's a nice thing about these events.
And he owns every piece of equipment every company makes, so he's not without training.
Right. You know what? He already has, as of last week, 31 people signed up for his venue.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's going to be a long day.
And in the super heavyweights, I have to win that class. My pick is Alexei once again, but other guys who I think will do very well: Igor Kuprinski, Tommy Tuomi from Finland, Jesse Pignonen, Karl Myerscough. Those guys are the guys come to my mind, at least for that class. You guys have any other opinions?
I had Alexei. Yep.
I'd say Alexei because he does more specialized training than like a Karl Myerscough. I think that's a big advantage to do that. But it's scary that Karl can be so good without specializing.
And I think he must be starting to specialize. He's pretty much in the grip right now, though.
Is that right? I did not know that.
Oh yeah, he's competed at least half a dozen times now out west. And, he's certified on the 3.5 earlier this year. He lifted 254 on the two-hand flask. He's a strong dude, so he'll do well. I don't know if he'll win his class, but he will do well. I will predict he's the tallest competitor in King Kong at 6'10".
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah, no doubt about it.
If we look at the women, I think we probably all have less input on those classes. But this year, it's the first time that we split it into two women's classes, so hopefully we get even more women to compete. So the cutoff is at 72 kg. And just based on the results from last year, my pick to win it is a Ukrainian by the name of Oksana Tutenko. She placed highest among the lighter women.
Okay.
And Juliet Avila also, I think, can do well in that class.
Is that the one that trains with the photo?
No, that's Julia Williams, so similar name. But Juliet Avila, I think she's on the East Coast somewhere. Not 100% certain, though. In the heavyweight women, the person I would have picked is not competing. Becca Roberts, I confirmed, so she will not be competing in King Kong because she's training.
Oh, really?
Europe's strongest women. Yeah, Europe's strongest women is the following.
Oh.
So that's. So with her
That's
not
too bad.
being in the fray, yeah, it is. Her goal. She said her goal would have been to get world records in all four events.
She would have. No doubt about it.
So in her absence, my pick is Mervi Pekki from Finland, and I think she's the one who won it last year.
Yeah, she's strong. That's a safe. That's a good one there, for sure. We've seen a lot of big things out of her.
Does anyone else have any opinions on the women competitors?
No, I think you hit it right on the head with those females that are going to win their weight classes.
Oh, it sucks that Becca's not going to make it. She'd have pulled huge on that crusher. I really wanted to see that.
Yeah.
She was going to be up there. Okay. Darn.
If we look at the Masters men, the 50-plus men, my pick is Ardo for the win. Ode is close. I just don't know where he is with the moon top. I have no idea if he's going to be able to. Ode typically likes to practice the events he's really good at, so he's going to do very well in the 2.5 crusher, and probably do well in the jug.
Oh, really?
The plastic. but I think Ardo will win the whole thing in the Masters. What do you guys think?
I agree with Ardo. Yeah. I didn't think Ode was a vertical bar kind of guy. I thought that was kind of his, I just didn't think he performed generally well in that type of event. Maybe I'm way off on that, but I knew he was a thick bar monster. But that was about all I knew out of him, I guess.
I'm not 100% sure on the jug, but I do know that he got a gold medal at the APL Worlds last year in the Saxon bar deadlift. So I'm sure his pinch is, at least his wider pinch is good.
Sure. Okay.
It'd be interesting with the flask. The flask is so narrow, and I got to tell you, I don't remember ever seeing him even do like a 245s pinch. Not that he couldn't, but I don't even remember seeing that.
Right. Anyway, so he's a big question mark, but I do think he will do well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, brute strength-wise is going to help him to just adapt to the events, for sure. But like you said, Eric, he does have a tendency to focus on the events that he excels at. So,
before we get to the really exciting stuff, there are predictions for the overall winner. I was just going to list my list of the people who I think have good shots at getting top 10, and then maybe you guys can add names if you think that I've missed someone, and then maybe we can move on to who we think will win. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Sure.
So I think the guys who have the ability to finish top 10, I think we got, among the Eastern Europeans, I got Alexei Tukalov and I got Igor Kupinski. Alexei won last year. And from what I understand, he found out about King Kong like a day or two before last year and just, happened to be in the area and competed, and he won the whole thing. So I think he has a good chance of getting top 10 again. Igor Kupinski, he's climbing. Every year he's done better in King Kong. He got 9th in 2016. He got 3rd last year. And, two of the 4 events he's extremely good at. So I see him as getting top 10. Among the, then I got the group, the Finns. The Finns who I think will do well, Juni Mahonen, Jesse Pignonen, Harry Talonen, Ardo Joronen, Thomas Larsson. Those are the guys I think who have a decent chance of getting top 10. And Lane, if he's competing, I think he has a good shot. And the rest are Americans. So the Americans I have Tanner Merkel, Carl Myerscough, Gil Goodman, Jedd Johnson, Cody Burns. And my dark horse for top 10 is Joe Sullivan. He's getting better very quickly, and I don't think he has a weak event among any of these. So he's another guy I think has an outside chance of getting top 10. Do you guys have any other names to add to for consideration?
I would like to be there myself. But
well, yeah, I was going to say that, like looking at what I've seen, without divulging too much information, I think Luke has a pretty good chance of finishing top 10, depending on how a couple things go.
The Crusher mainly, because I freaking hate it.
Yeah, that's the only reason I haven't included you in the discussion, is because I wasn't sure where you'd be on the Crusher.
That's the only thing that holds me back. I just want to steal a little bit of your Crusher strength there, Eric.
It's not for lack of trying. Like he's done everything possible that's been suggested to him to bring that up, and here recently he has had some increases in thick bar for the first time in about 5 years. So it's just kind of a shame that those discoveries weren't made, 2 years ago, because I think it would really help him out. But I'm not sure I have any other names. My pick for overall winner was going to be Lane if he competed.
Okay.
I think he's got that kind of strength in him that he could do it, but I just don't know if he'll be there. And he hasn't been responding with that kind of question, so maybe he's just up in the air about it. I'm not sure.
Right. Anyone else want to share their prediction for the top spot?
Top? I got Cody Burns for overall.
I wouldn't be willing to bet any amount of money on any of those people, honestly. Like, it is going to be so close for the overall.
Do you have a few?
Jedd, Alexi, Cody would be my top 3.
In no particular order.
I honestly couldn't say one way or the other.
That's actually, yeah. I had Cody, Alexi, and Jedd were my top 3 in that order.
My pick, mine is the same as Alan's. I really think this is Fody Burns' year. Fody he's competed in 4 of the 5 King Kongs, and he's never finished below 4th overall. So I really think this is with these events. This is he has a very, very good shot. Alexei Tukalov was my other guy who I think is right there. I don't think Tanner has what it takes. He got 4th last year. I don't see him breaking the top 3. But yeah, but some of the more the very consistent guys. Gil won in 2016. He's always finished top 10 every single year he's competed. Jedd Jedd won it. He got 5th in 2017 last year. He got 8th in 2013. These people who are consistent. Uni Mahonen. I felt bad for Uni. Last year was the guy I predicted him to win the whole thing, and he finished 2nd overall behind Alexi. And Alexi was a big surprise. No one knew he was coming. So I feel Uni was gonna win it that year, but I don't think he has it to win it this year. But he's another very, very consistent performer.
Let me throw this out there, guys, because this is something that could potentially throw a stone into everything that we've just said up to this point. As you know, there's been an increase in grip participation from a certain strongman competitor in the United States who lives in Colorado, Brian Shaw. Now, what happens if Brian Shaw has an open weekend and decides to go to one of those locations in his area to compete in King Kong?
So did you hear what Bader said? Bader said all those strong guys, there's a strongman competition that weekend in Dubai, and that's where Brian Shaw and Hafthor are going to be. He said he's going to try and talk them. He said he's going to try and talk them into doing King Kong. Now, I'm not holding my breath, but that would be quite the surprise.
I'm not going to change mine based on that, though.
Neither am I. I think he would do well, but I don't think he would win.
Right. I would leave the top 3 right where it is, personally.
I agree.
Well, I got to say that I think Alexi has the potential to not only be the first person to win King Kong twice, but to do it back to back.
Yeah. I really think this is going to be the biggest and best field of any grip contest ever.
Absolutely.
I can't. Not even just not that many people. Becca Roberts is the big omission in my opinion, but aside from that, almost all of the top guys around the world are going to be competing. So it's pretty exciting.
That is really a shame about Becca. She was going to smoke a lot of guys on this. That would have been really something for her to be there.
What's the estimated number that you're expecting? 250 for overall participation? 200, 250?
I want to break 200. I wanted to break 200 last year. We got 170. I do think, though, with Sierko's 31, if that's actually what happens, I'm expecting about 15. We don't have to average across the board very many to get to 200. So my goal is over 200. Anything above that is gravy. I mean, if we hit 250, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think Becca would come in at would be close to the top 50 without even hesitation. She'd be in that vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's brutally strong. Yeah. Yeah, all her training lifts are they're monstrous.
I don't know if we can, with the strongman competition going on in Dubai, I don't know if we even can throw Hafthor in there, seeing how he can't lift the damn inch dumbbell.
Right, but there's no question it'd be cool if he did compete, just to see.
Yeah,
I do think it'd be awesome.
Absolutely, it would be. I would like to see every single one of them that's at that competition go and take 4 attempts on all those lifts. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't want. I'm the guy that wants that stuff to take place. Like, I think that's cool. A lot of people dread it and say that they'll come in and take all the world records, but I think that's yet to be seen. And the fact that they don't specialize may not be their brute strength may not be enough to do that kind of thing.
And what better way to figure out the number one rule in grip, tell everybody about grip, than to get world's strongest men involved.
Absolutely. Yep.
And for the record, I'm going to take credit right now for getting better involved in King Kong, because I was chatting him up about it here about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, about King Kong. He didn't even realize it was going on. So,
well, that was my question to him. I said, how did you decide to do this? He goes, oh, Jedd talked to me about it.
Yep.
So I just hope all the equipment gets to him on time. He said even if he doesn't get the strong men's, I'm not really holding my breath with that, but if he's still going to have 4 or 5 guys, and it's cool to say we got a 4th continent on board.
For sure. All right. Any other last closing comments about predictions for King Kong, guys, or should we go ahead and wrap her up?
I'm pretty well covered here. I think we're all in pretty well agreement, aren't we, on the top spots?
Yeah, there's not
pretty much.
Okay.
Well, I wish you guys the best. I hope it's a big day for everybody, and I know I plan attacking this contest harder than I ever have. So I'm looking to go completely unbridled for this event, and I've already told people that if they're not used to hearing bad language, they better get ready to hear it, because I'm not holding anything back. I'm pretty excited about it this year, to tell you the truth.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see some of these results coming up.
Absolutely, man. Anything from you, Luke? You got anything else to add, or what?
Nope, everything's been covered.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for putting in the work on the predictions. It was a good show. And just to remind everybody, be sure to like the video. It'll help us out in many ways. It'll get the video presented across YouTube a lot more with more likes. And we want to hear what you think. Let us know what your predictions are in the comments section below. And I have been updating the playlist for This Week in Grip. So if you would like to go back and watch an old episode, or if you want to start right from the beginning and watch all of them, the link will be in the description box below for the playlist, and you can do just that. Other than that, Alan, it's your show. Take it away, brother.
All right. Well, that is episode 73 of This Week in Grip, the King Kong Prediction Show. Hope everybody liked it. Stay tuned for more. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back next week with another one. We'll see you then.